You slept around on your spouse and you just found out that tomorrow she and the lady you're having an affair with are going to be at the same PTA meeting. Shit again. You drank too much last night. You're too hungover to drive your son to his 8 a.m. Saturday morning baseball practice. These are the crumbs. They come in the form of regret, guilt, and remorse. You leave crumbs today, they will cause you more stress tomorrow, and they disallow you from creating a customized future in which you do not have to look over your shoulder. So let's flip the script. Instead of creating outcomes that take from us, let's create more outcomes that pay us back, fill us up, keep your fire lit, turn you on for the most amount of time in your future. These are the choices I'm talking about, and this is the beauty of delayed gratification. All right, tee yourself up. Do yourself a favor. Make the choices, the purchases today that pay you back tomorrow. The self-assurance, confidence, even if it's a false confidence, will get you more of what you want. We reward that in life, in this life, in the mortal life. We reward that with money, with jobs, with even blue ribbons and gold medals sometimes.
For 20 months, I didn't work. 15 of those 20 months, I got offered zero, nada, zilch. I was gone. I thought Hollywood may have forgot about me. So it was a big no, the hardest no, because I'm sitting there this time getting offered $15 million offers for well-written, cool romantic comedies. I'm like, that's pretty damn good. And by the way, it's even better. The version at $15 million is a better script than the one that was offered at $8 million, even though they were the same words. I was like, well, so I looked at those things, but I said, no, I made this choice with myself. I made this choice with God. I made this choice with my wife, Camilla. My family knows about it. I really need to go through this dry period. I don't know how long it's going to last. I got to hang on to the belief that if it's to be, something will come up. The work I want to find will come up and find me. And sure as heck, 20 months into it, all of a sudden, I was a new good idea. So I had an unbranding 2-year phase. I didn't rebrand, I unbranded. I was gone. I wasn't in the rom-com.
In my early 20s, I remember I was kind of rolling. I was in college, I had a job, I had money in my pocket, I had a nice girlfriend, making my grades, my relationships were good. And I remember going, oh, you hadn't been writing in your journal near as much. Notice you don't do that so much when things are going well. And I said, I think you better start writing down things when things are going well. I mean, my idea was that, hey, you're going to get in a rut again. You'll lose your frequency again in life. You might want this to go back and look at to help you recalibrate. And that proved to be true. So many times we dissect failure and hardships in our life, but we don't dissect success. And going back in those journals, I found that there were times when I got in a rut later and I was able to go back to those journals and go, what were your habits when you were rolling, man? Who were you hanging out with? Where were you going? What were you eating? What were you drinking? How much sleep were you getting? How are you looking at life? And they'd helped me recalibrate in the times when I was off frequency and get back on the rails again and find my frequency again.
What I did in my own thoughts and meditation and prayers, what came to me was, it's okay, Matthew. Don't try so hard to find the right woman to start a family. I know the one thing you've only known you ever wanted to be was a father. Don't try so hard to find the right woman to get married. You might end up an 88-year-old bachelor with a bunch of kids. And I'm not going to judge you on that, but quit trying to make it happen. And as soon as I quit trying to make it happen, and when I was out and not sort of measuring women, like maybe it's a possibility, maybe not objectifying, like, well, I don't know. I was more present. I was more fun. I was more me. And as soon as I quit looking, that's when she came. Not the same way I did, but when she showed up and I saw her my life moving across the room, right to left in my eye line. And I remember I saw this woman and under my breath to myself, I said, what is that? I didn't say, who is it? I said, what is that? Got up, introduced myself, spoke the best Spanish I've ever spoken. I've never spoken that good of Spanish since. And since that night I met her, there's never been another woman I wanted to go on a date with, spend a night with.
I thought that 85-90% of my successes were going to be obviously engineered, where I could see the signs, saw the habits. Here's what I did. Yep, that added up. Got the solution, got the conclusion. I was very surprised when I noticed it was probably less than 50%. And that most of the real successes of my life were when I trusted when I trusted that I didn't have to define it, when I trusted that I didn't have to go, well, what's the measurement? What's the score? This leads to what? What's next? And for me, that's still a challenge for me daily now, is to trust and not be, because I think I can be overly practical, and I think I can overcompensate and miss out on magic.
Once we learn to make choices that will measurably pay us back, give us more residuals for longer term, for longer time in life, we start to fall into that wise place of being able to navigate the art of living, where life becomes a little bit more of a dance, where we see the context, we see the innuendo, and we see the subtlety, and we have to make a choice, and both can look the same. And it's like, well, what am I going to call an audible here? I've got a playbook from the science of satisfaction, but what's my choice? We start to work off intuition. It goes from the intellect down into the body, and that's when it becomes an art. That's an individual practice, I think, for everybody. But what we're going to do on the 24th is dive deeper into the digits, the actual measurable tools of how to get more satisfaction out of life, so you can get into the art of living, which is an art. Facts and faith, the facts and the science. That's the science of satisfaction. The faith, and that's what the world's doing without our doing. Whether our hands on the wheel or not, where that road goes and how to navigate it, that becomes the art.
It seemed to me that about 80% of people's challenges and problems, even in their life, were something in the past that they were hung up on, that they could not seem to get past, and it was holding them from going where they wanted to in their future.
I felt like I had to be in the know. Only recently have I shaken hands with the fact, no, I love to be in the know. I also want to be in the know of what I don't know. I want to know what I don't know, and then know that I do not know. And saying, oh, that's a good thing, Matthew, is what I'll tell myself. So, but do we not give ourselves enough credit to, or is the I don't know is like a blind spot? It's like, whoa, I don't know. We're such a result-oriented people and culture. I got to have my result. And when we, if I just get to the top of that summit, I'll have the ta-da moment. When we get to the top of the summit, we see it's a false summit. There's millions of more summits on the other side. You keep climbing, and there's another one. It's not a ta-da moment where we go, I've got it all figured out. I think we get caught up so often in short-term gains and short-term return choices that give us short-term return on our own investment, us. And we're not making choices that are going to buy us delayed gratification, not only longer in this life, but after we're gone, for our kids and our grandkids and our great-great-grandkids. So it's all a process, is what I'm hearing from that, and how I'm choosing to take that line. It's all a process. Enjoy the process. You do not ever get there. That's the point. That keeps you the game, because if you got there, the game's over. I get asked a lot, well, do you believe in fear? I'm like, well, hell yeah, I believe in the fear.
Who the fuck doesn't believe in fear?
Well, you see those like, no fear.
Oh, those people are so silly.
Like, no, I do. And they're like, do you fear? I said, I fear every single day. It's the overcoming of the fear. Or I know being raised, we were a physical discipline family. We got the belt. We didn't get grounded. My parents' motto was, we're not going to ground you because that takes away your time, and your time is your most valuable thing. We never got injured. We just get hurt at the time, you cried, and it was over with. But there were things that I did not do growing up, and still do not do, for fear of the consequences. That fear worked for me, going, I heard things I did not do growing up, going like, no, that'd be a lot of fun, but not more fun than how much it's gonna suck if I get caught.
Someone asked me this the other day. What do you your measures of trust, where they come from, and how do you have that with people? Here, and my answer, which I'd never answered before until I was asked that, was, I come into this conversation just meeting you, and you have 100% of my trust until you disprove me, until you give me reason to distrust. I give everybody, I have a utmost respect and reverence for people, and believe in the goodness of people, and that no one's out to try and harm me. Now, I'm not foolish. My eyes are open. I could listen to your questions, and maybe I hear you going, I think Rich is trying to weasel in here and trying to do something that's not really true. But until then, I'm going, no, 100% trust until you prove it otherwise. I have learned and do believe in this relationship, responsibility and freedom, the responsibility of freedom and the freedom and responsibility, the choices we make today that compound assets in our future.
The word authentic gets thrown around a lot. And, I don't mean, I used to feel this way, but Bob Dylan loosened me up on this idea a little bit. You think it was all about get to be your only one and only true self. Yeah. That's it. Everything else is fake. And then you hear Bob go, well, I mean, we are what we create ourselves to be. We are our own creations, which I'm like, yes, we are. Thank you, Bob. What I'm all for bullshitters and bullshitting. I'm not as big a fan of the liars and lying.
What's the distinction? You're talking about the art form or bullshit?
A liar's faking it, but not admitting to themselves that, it's a fucking creation. I'm faking it.
I think on a cellular level, I felt my body going, hey, to use a baseball term, you got people over there on the bench in the dugout, then you got people out in the field that are, sitting in the in the bullpen not working out. On a cellular level, cellularly, my cells that were in the dugout and over there in the bullpen had to get up and go, whoa, we're not getting fed what we used to get fed. We gotta exercise here. We gotta come to, hut. Because my body's we're not getting what we used to get. We're not placated by what we used to get. Our insulation's gone. Our what we relying on is gone. What we used to rely on is gone. So I think my whole body woke up and my brain got really super, super sharp on that as well. So I think it was the going without. There's a bit of it was what I went without that sharpened up and made my brain on the cellular level much more hungry. You got in more trouble if you brought something back up, to somebody in the family. Yeah, but what about when you do that? No. They already got in trouble for that. You don't bring it back up. You could not go to sleep in our family holding a grudge. My parents would stay up all night and let you miss school to sit there and keep hashing out until we could hug it out, cry it out, and say, I love you, and move on.
When faced with the inevitable, get relative. So when do we deem something inevitable? A situation. Like now, we're in COVID. It's inevitable. So you and I can sit here and go, oh my God, when's this going to end? I wish this was over. I wish we were back in the good old days. Nothing constructive in anything I just said. Nothing leading towards a green light. But can we say and recognize, like you did offline before we got on this, hey, it's really been a still, quiet time for me right now. I've been taking inventory. That's recognizing a green light in the red light we're in right now. And setting yourself up for that to remain a green light, to make this useful time in whatever way you can. You're already cultivating and building a green light for your future in this red light time. So in that version, another truth that I believe is that every red and yellow light does reveal itself to be green somewhere in the rearview mirror of life. Sometimes we notice it today, sometimes next week, next month, next year.
You see these people who are living in a time where you put out something of yourself, and your whole value of yourself is reliant on what the world out there, strangers you don't know, comment about that. And if I put out a picture that I'm really happy and excited about on Instagram tonight, and if I'm going to look what the reaction is, and the majority says, oh, F you, McConaughey, all of a sudden I have a bad night. I'm having a bad time. But if you go, same picture, and you go, awesome, and the consensus awesome, all of a sudden, you've controlled how I feel, and I'm having a great night. I'm in a great mood. So we're sort of at the behest, people, of we're reacting. That's kind of what we're doing more in this social media. We're reacting.
I gave myself some license there. I said, you know what? I'm going to test this out. I'm going to test out my threshold of hedonism. I don't want to be harmful. I don't want to be mean. I don't want to be mean to anyone else or myself. At the same time, I'm going to give myself a Saturday night POV for some time. And I did it for a couple of years. And then I just noticed that, okay, this feels revolutionary, not evolutionary. This feels like a stop, not a stay. This indulgence, an option to indulge, I'm not really feeling an ascension in my life. I'm cool with where it is. I'm not griping about it. I'm enjoying it. And I'd be silly if I didn't. But I'm not really feeling a build, an ascension in my life. And I want to feel build. So I decided to get out of there and go away. So I knew at that time, that was a stop and not a stay.
I've run a few red lights, but again, I say, if for people that say, oh, it's all fake, then I always I half jokingly say, okay, then run all the red lights, see what happens. I mean, I believe that the prime mover or God, whatever, our light that wants our hands on the wheel. Saying we are self-determining creatures. Don't just take the hands off and just completely, inshallah, the whole existence of going through the world. So there's a responsibility and fate, I think, and there's the fate of responsibility, and is that sort of what that line's saying? Destiny is what you create for yourself. Fate is when you fail to create your own destiny.